Welcome to the New World Order Showcase Podcast. Your host, Jill Hart, the Coach's Alchemist. Couldn't be more excited to have you join us today. On this podcast, we celebrate the champions of change, the up-and-coming life, health and transformational coaches who are fearlessly stepping forward to make a difference in the world. Get ready for inspiring stories, practical tips, and powerful moments that will motivate you to make a positive change in your life and those around you. We're happy to have you join us on this incredible journey as we dive into the world of life, health, and transformational coaches who are lighting up the path towards a better tomorrow.
Hi, and welcome to the New World Order Showcase podcast. Today we are talking with Wendy Patterson. Wendy is a coach who has developed a realignment method which guides women from overworked and unsupported to feeling appreciated and validated in 12 hours or less. That's pretty remarkable. We're so glad to have you here, Wendy, and I can hardly wait to hear all about how this works.
Thank you for the invite. I'm looking forward to this.
So let's start at the beginning. How did you get started? What do you do? And how do you make this happen? And just tell us all the stuff.
Well, let me see. It all started back when I work full time for the federal government as well. I live in Canada, Quebec side, but working on the Ontario side. Lost my mom in 2018, and that's where my world started to shift. But it was just before then. Things started really rock and roll in my workplace because there was a change of hierarchy. And I started really having difficulties with my boss at that time. However, that's where I found out my mom's life was coming to an end, right? So a lot of stuff was coming up in me at work, at home, emotionally, and I was having a really difficult time navigating my emotions. So I stumbled on a podcast by my former coach, and it really taught me a lot to really think about myself, to go within, figure out what's happening and why am I allowing this to happen to me? Because instead of looking at it, why is it happening for me? Being accountable rather than dishing out my emotions onto other people, because I knew nothing other than deflecting, because I had never been taught how to deal with my emotions, like nothing. So here I am in this tumultuous time, and I'm just barking out at other people, and it's like, what's going on? So I had to really go in and dig into my own negative emotions, into my own past, and into myself so deeply that that's where it all started to shift for me. And I found the program that I have taken in 2021, along with my previous mentor coach, JJ Flazanes, because I took her empowerment strategist, and that's where everything started to shift for me. And then I found NLP, timeline therapy, and hypnotherapy that kind of married it all together for me. And it just broadened my horizons on so many different levels, because I had meditated for so many years. And I found hypnotherapy is identical to meditating. However, it's a guided meditation with some reframing words within that can kind of shift your thought processes just ever so slightly, because everything's embedded in the hypnotherapy. So when you listen to it over and over again, it settles in the unconscious mind and creates a little bit of a shift. So this is where I am today, where I like to share everything that I've learned, because I've seen so many women's lives change with this particular product. And I've discovered that when people really want the change and they do everything that they have to, well, that they want to do to actually make this change solid, they do the work. And it's amazing at how it starts to shift and peel away at certain layers of their lives and bring stuff up for them to resolve, because they think that they're all good, that they're not going to have any more triggers or episodes of emotions. But no, excuse me, it's going to keep coming up for you to resolve, right? Because that's what triggers are. Everything to come up for you to look at and kind of, why is it happening for me? What is the lessons that need to be learned here? And okay, how can I move forward from this? What can I do for myself to make sure that it doesn't ever happen again to me, right? Or again for me, to stop it right here and now. So it's really, really taking accountability for everything that you do in life. You think it, what you speak it, and how you feel it. Full accountability.
Wow. And you mentioned work, but having gone through therapy myself, it's not work like we think of work. Work kind of gives that connotation that it's going to require a lot of effort on your part, but it surprisingly doesn't.
Right.
So you want to talk to that a little bit?
Well, when I say the work, it's more like if I've given, because when I take clients in, I also give them some meditations or small snippets of hypnotherapy that I will record for them that they will listen to. And it's about work that you have to pay attention. You've got to listen to it in order for the shift to happen. It's like meditating. You take a 10-day meditation retreat, and it's a silent meditation retreat, and you choose to go to be silent for 10 days. It's not easy. It's a lot of work, but you're doing it. You're there. So you might as well do the work, right? So when I mean work, there's things that if you want the change, then make that change happen by doing a 5-10 minute meditation daily. You'll see a shift. Listening to hypnotherapy, you'll see the shift. A journal, writing down your negative emotions, you'll see a shift, you'll see a pattern. Or starting an appreciation journal, you start writing everything that you appreciate, and then you start to see how things will shift. It's doing that type of work. It's the homework for that shift to integrate, for that shift to make a significant change within yourself. So I guess that's what I mean by work.
And really, we work at stuff all the time. It's just deciding how that work is going to look for you. You have choices in the matter. And when you're using someone like you, but you're allowing somebody like you to help them navigate through the transition from working in a way that isn't serving them positively to a way that is serving them positively, I think has a lot of impact. And it kind of shortens the learning curve a lot.
Hugely, right? I mean, how many people out there truly listen to their unconscious mind, right? Or do they listen to everybody else? So there's also, that's a huge conversation too, right there, right? So yeah, it's how much work. Yeah, I needed a shift when I turned a certain age, and it's like, okay, I can't afford a vacation. I can't afford anything because I was a single mom at the time and my kids were young. And a friend of mine introduced me to the 10-day meditation retreat. And I said, oh, I don't have to pay. No, it's all free. What? It's run by volunteers. What? They feed you, they house you. I said, how can I not go wrong, right? I had tons of vacation, so I took it. Best decision I ever made, and I recommend every human do it at least once in their lifetime. Every human. Not easy, yet it is a really great way of really getting in touch with you, taking that time to get to know you.
It scares me just to think about it.
It does a lot of people. Like, how many people can not talk for 10 days? I can. I had no problems.
I don't know, I could go a whole day without talking, let alone string 10 of them together.
You get caught up in your head, right? You hear the stories, you hear the judgment, you hear it all going, and then you hear what's going on all the time that's on repeat, and then it quiets down. So it's very, very interesting. And after I took the NLP timeline therapy hypnotherapy course, it was like I had gone on a 10-day meditation retreat. That's how impactful it was on me, that it's like, okay, this is just so spectacular that, 10 days can be shortened down in hours. Like amazing, amazing.
I was just going to ask you, so you basically take the 10 days of silent meditation and squish it down to 12 hours for people.
Instead of 100 hours of meditation.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can
Yeah.
see how that would be helpful.
Extremely. It can be life-changing, like I say, if the person really wants the change, really wants that shift, really wants to feel better, it
Mhm.
can have such an amazing impact. Yeah.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the difference between hypnosis and hypnotherapy, and maybe even throw in a little bit about what NLP is and isn't?
Oh, wow. Now, I just know there's hypnotherapy and there's hypnotherapist. Hypnotherapy is on the medical side. However, I am more on the spiritual side where I'm a hypnotherapist, and then you have a hypnotist. A hypnotist is the ones I think that are on the medical side. Hypnotherapy is where basically it's listening to the client and understanding where they're at, and then having a dialogue and then a script to kind of reframe what the individual would like to change within themselves. We have there is a inner child meditation that we have where the person goes in and basically looks at their inner child and themselves as children and embraces them for who they are and where they are today, right? Because a lot of people get caught in life and their past comes into the present and they feel like they did when they were a kid. So this kind of just reframes the situation and says, you are now an adult, you are no longer a child. Let's see how we can work this out. So that type of hypnotherapy that can be done is really, really great because it kind of helps the adult to recognize that they are no longer that wounded child. And it can also help tremendously for people who really want to quit smoking, sorry. They want to quit smoking, so it's a matter of reframing their thoughts if they truly want to do it. And it can really make an amazing impact on people. And it can work if they want to quit. If they don't, it will not work. But if they really want it to work, it can work. But you have to want something so badly that, we can work with something. But if they just say, oh, my wife wants me to quit smoking, so I'm here because of that. Well, honey, come back when you really want to. When you want to quit, because I'm not wasting your money on this right now because it's not worth it. Come back when you want to quit. So I hope that describes hypnotherapy. Now, NLP, I've heard so many people talk about how NLP can be very manipulative. And I can understand how it can be, 100%. However, the type of how we use it is just reframing the person's thoughts, reframing how they say things. I also say that NLP is law of attraction on steroids. 100% to me, because what you think about, you bring about, what you focus on, you can make happen. NLP, when you speak, we can hear where they are. We can hear their assumptions about life. We can hear where they are in their model of the world. And we can just slightly alter the verbiage so that they can see that they have a choice, rather than being where they are at that time. So that there's always a way of looking at things differently, very similar to, quantum consciousness. You take the blinders off, you see it as a movie rather than being in it. It's just a different way of seeing things and wording it so that it sticks, and that they have that ability to make a choice, and they can make the change if they want to. Does that make sense?
It does make sense. It makes a lot of sense. And in a way, it is manipulation, but you're doing it to yourself. You're choosing how you wish. As Marissa Peer says, you're telling yourself a better lie.
Exactly. And it's in believing, what you're saying and what you're living. And yeah, there's so much more to it, like much more. And this is just a skating on the surface of exactly what, we get into.
And you're going to be having a workshop here in October and I know that when this comes out, it'll be shortly before the workshop actually happens. But you want to tell the audience what you're going to cover, what you're doing with it?
What I'm doing with it. I think the really big piece is looking at negative emotions and how to navigate the reactions of the negative emotions, and how to, once you've gone through your negative emotions and what your triggers are and how to navigate through the triggers and what you can change within yourself, then you can really learn how that little shift in the mind set can alter a lot of other things in your life, alter the energy around you, alter your relationships that you have with other people, the relationship that you have with yourself. Just relationships overall are going to shift energetically, spatially, and that it's going to, you'll really recognize some things that you can actually make more change in yourself when you look at it from a different perspective, and when you take accountability for your feelings and you take accountability for how you say things to yourself, not to others, to yourself, because it's all about being accountable. It's all about taking full ownership of yourself. And how I came across this recently was I was watching a show, and how the person in the show was, I guess she was not comfortable in her skin. So if she wasn't comfortable in her skin, then how can she be herself out in the world without being insecure? Those little stories in her head going over and over again that, she's this or she's that. And I'm sitting there going, wow, this is a reflection upon myself. If I'm not good in my skin, how can I get out in the world and start speaking about everything that I've learned and be comfortable doing so? Hence, here I am, because I truly believe in everything that I've learned. And all the people that the few women that are in my life and that I'm coaching right now can recognize the similarities. And it's like, wow, let's shift this for you so that you can feel better about life and you can see things from a brighter side rather than the doom and gloom side. So yeah, it's mind blowing. And this is just a piece of it, because I'm introducing what I do. I'm giving tips and tricks about how to get into the negative emotions. Where do they come from? Let's see what we can do about it. And then we slightly alter it, and then we move forward from there. So it's more of the few steps into the big realignment method, just to allow people to shake up some of that way of perceiving, the way of being, so that they can be better within, to exude that on the outside.
It sounds like a fantastic workshop, and I highly recommend people go to it. I, from personal experience, I can say that hypnotherapy can give you changes so fast. I mean, it's when you talk about 12 hours and big changes, I believe you, because I've seen it for myself. Just getting over the recognizing the patterns, the thought patterns, and it's like the first step. And once you do that, it's like the whole world opens up to you in a way that allows you to let your life align with who you fundamentally are, and you stop really caring about the people that accentuate those negative voices in your head. And there are people that come along in your life that they add the chatter, and they trigger the chatter. But once you get clear on, this is what that negative chatter sounds like in my life, and these are the things that trigger it, and these are the tools that I can use to just release it. And it is as simple as releasing, but it's not.
No. And the deeper the trigger, the further that trauma goes back, right? So hence, if you get into the 12-hour program, we go further back and we kind of massage it a little bit better so that it's, that's where all the magic truly happens, is, when you can go back into the past. But it's so very true that we all get triggered somewhere along the day. And it's just a matter of, okay, where was the first instant this ever happened to me, and where was I, and what was wrong, and what can I learn from it? Right. Quick trigger response right there. How can you get over a trigger instead of feeling it, owning it, reverting into a little cave or a cocoon and saying, oh, woe is me, this has happened to me? And it's like, step up, and breathe into it and move forward from it. And I find that, especially with COVID these days, so many people shouldn't say that, cancel. A lot of individuals have difficulties going out into the public now because it's been 3 years that they stayed home. So it's just a matter of, getting back out there, standing up, speaking up, being seen and heard, that a lot of women, struggle with from the get-go. So, a lot of work.
But it's work that's already being done. It's just a different way of doing the work. And
correct.
And recognizing, instead of when you're getting triggered, instead of doing the reverting back to your child or hiding, you start to look for these things, just like it's an opportunity to practice. Oh yeah, okay, I'm feeling that now. Yep. And it becomes kind of, what used to be really painful for you can become kind of exciting. It's like, hey, I get to practice now. It's an opportunity.
100%. Like, where are you feeling it in your body, right? And what does it feel like? And, how can I release it by breath work, or, changing your reframing or whatever. There's so much out there to help you work through that. Like, so much.
Yeah. And it just becomes fun. Which sounds silly, because you're taking these negative events, triggers, emotions, and you're like, oh yeah, I can work with that. And then your life does totally shift to a place where it's just like, hey, I can pretty much handle anything, because I'm looking forward to the bad. I love the good.
Well, and how you say that, you revert to your childhood state, as your child state, because when you're a child state, nothing bothers you. You go through life happy, joyous, and people can talk to you and you don't take it personally. So in this whole process, we also learn that going back into having fun, making life fun rather than the doom and gloom and the hardships and the negative emotions. If you can make it fun, oh my God, it shifts so much, because this whole process can be fun if you let it. Right? And
there's
so can life.
So many times growing up, you get you should feel bad about this. They don't tell you how long you're supposed to feel bad about it.
Right.
Shame on you. That's a terrible thing you did. Therefore, you're a terrible person. So you don't know as a child, how long am I supposed to be this bad person? And so it does get kind of stored in the back of your head. And until you have a way of saying, well, no, I think the time limit's up on that one, and let it go.
Great point. Like, great point. Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, that's so very, very true.
Yeah, yeah. And how many of us have wandered around like that for so many years? It's just like, yeah, I know. It's like that was who I was not that long ago.
Right. Right. Yes.
And then you get boundaries and a few other things that kind of help you to be able to keep people from mm, overstepping the bounds, which is what boundaries are all about, so that
Right.
you can live in a state of not necessarily bliss, but it's a good place to be,
Right.
where
Yeah.
you feel encouraged and you feel hopeful and you feel empowered to just do the thing that you were sent here to do, because we all have like some mission, that I believe that anyway, that you're
Here, here.
supposed to be doing, but we get so caught up in all this other garbage that we can't we can't focus on the thing we should be doing. We're still over here curled up in the fetal position trying to get over the trigger that was based on something that was from so long ago in most cases.
Right. Right. And in the workshop, that's also something that I kind of touch upon is personal boundaries and
Mhm.
then other boundaries. Because there's two distinct boundaries there, right? You have your personal ones and you have ones with others. So it's a
Mhm.
matter of really knowing the two between the two, which I didn't know back in the day. However, now I do. So it's quite interesting
Why
when you
don't you
brought up
expound on
boundaries.
the personal boundaries a little bit, the difference
Like,
between the two kinds of boundaries?
well, if you say I go into work and I like to have people I like to respect myself and my area, right? And if
Mhm.
somebody comes into my area and disrespects my area, or how can I say that? Yeah, comes in and disrespects my area and I let them, that's a breach of my own personal boundary, that I didn't step up and say, excuse me, I really don't appreciate you coming into doing this. So once you breach a personal boundary, it kind of takes a piece of you away because I'm not speaking up for myself. I'm not stating, hey man, can you like not come in here because this is my space? And I don't like anybody coming in and mulling over my stuff. If you need to know something, just ask me.
Mhm.
That kind of thing. Because it really, if I can't speak up for myself, then who am I living for?
Right.
Right. So we touch upon that. And then the people that, family that you need to set personal boundaries with, or you need to set a boundary with a family member. That's a little bit different because it's like, hey, you know what? It's a boundary, but a personal boundary is where you really, really breach yourself rather than saying it's upon the other person. You need to set something up with them. And it's just that's nuanced, just a little bit differently. And it affects you more when you breach your own personal boundaries and then
Kind of
you
like
really feel
the outer boundaries that you might have with family and friends is to protect your inner boundaries, so that you can have a closer relationship with them than you would have with everybody else,
correct.
because you actually have another set of boundaries out there for everyone else. The personal boundaries are things that get you out of alignment with who you are,
100%.
and it's like personal space. When people start to impose on your personal space, whether it's physical or emotional or spiritual, because you have spaces that you hold for each of those. um that's the more personal boundary, whereas the other boundaries, and I would suggest there's even more than two, um
100%.
protect you in a larger sense. Not everybody is going to be super close to you. You are the most important being, and you need to protect yourself, and you have a little cocoon, and then others come in different layers. Thank you for
Yes,
letting
man.
me express that. I'm still working it out in my own head.
No, I totally get it, because it can be worded in any different way.
Mhm.
And for you to understand it that way, it was stellar. Very well said, very well put.
Well, thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome.
I feel like a personal coaching session here. I
Well,
appreciate it so much, Wendy.
we do have our entities. We have our spirit, right? And we have our mind, and we have our body, and we have our soul. So there are so many boundaries that can be set. Like you said,
Mhm.
many, many, many layers.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
And you cover all that in your workshop, and you do have a meditation that you offer for people. So you want to tell them about that a little bit?
Sure. It's on the same premises as the 10-day meditation that I've been doing for so many years, and it's a silent meditation. And I recognize that even if I take 5 minutes out of my day, morning and night, how clear I can hear my own unconscious mind, my own unconscious thoughts. And the more I meditate, the more I hear it as clear as day. It's like asking a question. If you have a question, you ask it, you get an answer. And that's kind of what happened to me when I went on a full 10-day meditation retreat and after the NLP course, or the NLP timeline therapy hypnotherapy course. But this 5-minute meditation is really, really simple. It's all about the breath, and you can download it at any time. You can listen to it on your phone. You can listen to it on your computer. You can turn it on at any time. It's just me telling you to breathe. And that's it. But it is a simple 5-minute meditation on that same premises of the Vipassana meditation that I've been practicing for so many years. And I can
That's
have that
awesome.
available because there's a PDF attached to it with a list of various other meditations. And I recommend everybody to try all of the meditations. Pick the one that you resonate most with and stick to it. Just because the 10-day, the one that I do, it suits me, it may not suit you. So if it doesn't help you, don't listen to it anymore, but find something that does resonate with you.
That's awesome. And we'll put the links for that in the show notes, so people will be able to get access to that. And we'll also put links in the show notes for your workshop that's coming up. And though I realize as the episode drops, the workshop will be very soon. You did mention that there might be some opportunity for people to get into a future workshop or get access to this workshop after it actually is done.
Most definitely. We'll find a way to get people out there and just to get into the information, because I will have a workbook available for it, and it can be, easy peasy. And once you have you can download the workshop and work through it. And if you have any questions, just reach out. So yes, I plan on recording this one this time.
Perfect. So what's the one thing you want to leave the audience with, Wendy?
If you truly want to change, invest in yourself. It's about the biggest one right there that I have, done for me. Like that has really made that impact on myself by taking the time and investing in myself and getting to know myself, and go within. And if you need help, then reach out to the appropriate people that you resonate with and start that work.
Awesome. Thank you so much for joining us today. This has been amazing.
Thank you very much for inviting me. I had a pleasure talking about all this, and I look forward to seeing this posted.
Yeah, me too.
Thank you so much for tuning in to another empowering episode of the You World Order Showcase podcast. We hope you've enjoyed hearing from our incredible life, health, and transformational coaches who are making a profound impact on the world. Remember, change begins with you, and you have the power to transform your life and the lives of others. If you want to take that next step and unlock your true potential, visit thecoachesalchemist.com, where you can find the 3 ways we can help you for free to spin your talent into gold with clarity, a system, and a plan. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss an inspiring episode. And if you enjoyed today's show, we'd greatly appreciate it if you could leave us a review on your favorite podcast platform. Your feedback means the world to us and helps us reach more people with our positive message. Stay connected with us on social media for updates, behind-the-scenes content, and upcoming guest announcements. You can find us on Facebook at The U World Order or simply visit thecoachesalchemist.com.